All right, we are backstage here in San Diego. I'm in my AV check for my keynote that's happening tomorrow. And actually, it's a special keynote for me because right before me is Bill and Hillary Clinton. So this is arguably probably the biggest stage that I've ever been on. And in this video, what I want to do is talk about some of the elements of aesthetics when it comes to telling a good story. And really showcasing my journey when it comes to slide design and making things look beautiful, like over time, and what I've learned, throughout the years, like just being in the space, being able to tell stories. And to be honest with you, like this is where all the magic happens, right? And there's so many people here that really try to make this a truly like remarkable and magical experience, from the folks that are working in graphics to the notes to the photography. Like there's so many elements to this in addition to actually having all the slides and whatever. To be honest with you, there's a lot of stuff here. I don't know what 99% of this stuff does, but this is where really all the magic happens. And it's kind of funny because every time I'm here, I usually work with the AV team, and I am the speaker that brings in like the most slides and probably the most difficulty. I think they photoshopped my face. God,
made you look younger.
God damn, he looks good. He looks better. No? Don't see a difference?
I don't think so.
This guy looks younger.
Vessel's older.
Because it's not just a straight PowerPoint, it is a ton of multimedia videos, stitched together, motion graphics stitched together. Some have audio, some don't. And it can be very complicated. It's not like a regular PowerPoint, so they actually have to create like their own like media server to host all these slides. And we'll come to the front of the house, but they're spending like multi-million dollars on this setup. So you want to make sure that it's good. You want to make sure that you're maximizing the real estate of this setup. So why don't you come with me? We'll go to the front and we'll chat a little bit more. Tomorrow, the security here is going to be insane. You're going to have Secret Service everywhere. Like Bill and Hillary Clinton are here. Bill and Hillary Clinton are here. So it's going to be incredible. And then all the Secret Service are going to disappear when I come on. Yeah, that's basically what's happening. When I first started speaking, what I did to create slides, actually, let me take you back. Let me take you back to the origin of creating slides. I started my career, do you know what? I'm going to even go earlier than that. Let me tell you the beginning of my journey. I always used PowerPoint throughout my entire life. Like when I was a kid, I used to make stories in PowerPoint, like stickman stories in PowerPoint. I can't even remember how old I was, maybe like 10 years old, 11 years old, making PowerPoint slideshows. And then over time, like in school, I became like the PowerPoint guy, getting better at PowerPoint. I remember one of my first jobs, I worked at a place called Singapore Press Holdings in Singapore. And my job there was to be like their media strategist, to figure out what the future of newspapers would look like. And what's really interesting is that I suddenly became like the slide guy. My job was to create all these like really compelling slides for everyone. And everyone would just be mesmerized by all the slides that we make, and I would just like experiment with all these colors and shapes. And to be honest with you, if you look back at those earlier slides, like today in 2024, they look like absolute shit, but people loved it. In Singapore, they loved it. And one of the interesting things that I learned building slides in Singapore versus North America, they loved having everything on the slide. They wanted all the information on the slide. And it's very different when you're doing a presentation, because when you're doing a presentation, no one is really looking at the slides that much. They are garnering a little bit of information and they're going away with it. And to me, the number one tip when it comes to slide design is to remember that most of us, we don't remember anything from a presentation. In fact, Most of us will attend a presentation, a 60-minute presentation, and walk away and not remember a single thing, let alone the slides. So in that case, what's the point of filling up the slide with a whole bunch of information that they're not going to remember? Best to keep it really simple, have some really key words, some images, some visuals, keep it really tight, and then if you want to give them some really great information, put it in a reading document later, give them a supplementary document later. So after Singapore Press Holdings, I went back to Deloitte and I started to create slides at Deloitte. I started to create my own slide deck. It was called Nice Slides, and then I would share this out periodically to the entire consulting group, and they would use it. And I actually believe that part of the aesthetic of how they do slides is because of what I did, which was really like light font. I mean, some of the things that I was doing was it's a very management consulting style of slide decks. And then when I started to get into presentations, I realized that I needed to make it more beautiful, more awe-inspiring. So my first move when I started doing keynotes was to create slides with like 1 or 2 words and then have a picture in the back that represented what that, I was saying. And at that time, it was like crazy that I would, it looked insane that I would take a picture and then put words on top of it or no words at all. And I learned this through one of my first presentations ever was through Pecha Kucha. Now, Pecha Kucha is a style of presentation, 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide. I think that's what it is. I actually have like the most viewed Pecha Kucha in the world.
I have a confession to make. I love the spelling bee. I've been watching the spelling bee religiously every year.
And they used to have these Pecha Kucha nights. And so I did this Pecha Kucha night at, I think it was the Maya Hurwitz Theater. And there's no words, it's just pictures. It went phenomenally well. And I believe that was one of the first like recorded presentations that I ever did that kind of was like, maybe I have something here.
Thank you.
So that was part of my inspiration of creating like this beautiful imagery in the background, having very minimal words. And then over time, I realized that people were taking pictures of the keynotes, right? They were taking pictures of the slides. And what I realized was that you should create words or create graphics that really compel people. And so I started to create a little bit more graphics within my PowerPoints. And then over time, I realized that I wanted to create more video. So at some point, all my slides were all video. They were all video, and then I got more sophisticated to say, actually, these should be motion graphics. So I started to create these videos with motion graphics and just have that little bit of animation at the beginning just to get people teased up around what's going on that slide. And I feel like that little bit of animation helps to get people oriented again. I want every slide, essentially at the end of the day, to be Instagrammable. I want every slide at some point to be like, this was really interesting, I'm gonna share this out. And so if you can create a slide deck with 70 compelling slides that people will share, not including the videos, I think that would be an incredible PowerPoint slide. As you can see, this looks like a rock concert. This looks like it's Drake or The Weeknd or Justin Bieber or Shawn Mendes. You see what I did there? All Canadian. That's what people should feel like. Look at the lights, look at the vibe here. This is like a rock concert. So I want people to feel like they're at something really unique and interesting and insightful, and they're seeing something that they've never seen before, and it looks incredible. Like, I want them to feel something at the end of the day.
So every time I do this, it's funny because when I first started speaking, I would rehearse for months.
And so they were really worried. In fact, I was actually pretty worried too. I didn't know what the hell I was gonna do either.
I would rehearse one speech for months. And today, because I'm I don't know what happens, but you become a little bit more seasoned, you become a little bit more comfortable with the stage. Now, although I still have to rehearse, the compression time for me to create new content and to deliver it has become almost like a day. Before it used to be months, and it becomes a day. But before, I would just like rehearse and I would just have like stains underneath my armpits. I'd be so nervous. And now I'm not nervous because I know I've rehearsed. I know my content. And the reason why I rehearse is because I want to be in flow. I want to be like Steph Curry, who's just playing. I want to be Steph Curry hitting a three-pointer and just like walking, mouth guard out, and just having fun.
And that disruptor is a guy named Steph Curry. Woo! Yeah, everyone loves Steph Curry.
I want to be able to take like an alley, just like a, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhook and just play. That's what I want to do on stage. I want to be so rehearsed that when I actually get on stage, people see that I'm just having fun. It's like I know my material so well that I'm just like, I got this. I'm not even worried. I'm not worried about messing up a small word. I'm not worried about it. So the way that I design these slides is the way that I describe the story is, number one, I have a main thesis. So the whole thesis here is to like think boldly, and that's basically the main thesis. And then what I do is I cut it up into 3 different pieces. I start with a story that relates to something that happened beforehand. It connects me to the audience so they know that this is not a canned speech. This is something that's delivered for them right now. I'm so excited to be here. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is a little wild following the Clintons. So me picking up on the Clintons and the Secret Service is a really cool piece. And the other reason why in the first like 3 minutes, what I do, acting a little bit, I'm self-deprecating. People know that I'm on stage. It's a high status position. So what I'm trying to do at the beginning is basically throw myself under the bus and showcase how I'm low status. So like the first story is this like story of like the Secret Service and how there's no Secret Service anywhere. And then the next story is about how I'm at the back of the plane as an innovation strategist.
What is an innovation strategist? Recently, I was on a flight from Denver to Orlando.
I was sitting in the back of the plane, economy class, in the middle seat, working away for a couple of hours.
And there was a guy sitting right beside me. He was like, "Hey man, what kind of work you do?"
I said, I'm in strategy and innovation.
And he was like, "What the hell does that mean?" I was like, "I help organizations create value in new ways."
And he was like, "You help companies solve problems? You sit in the back of this plane, an economy class in the middle seat?"
He said, "You ain't doing your job."
Here's a cool slide, which is like the F word. And purposely in this, I want to keep this really big and bold because I want this to like stand for itself when it's sitting behind me. So when I pause and say,
I believe that we have to bring the F word back.
And it's sitting behind me, like, what is the F word? Everyone's waiting for it. I haven't revealed it on stage, and I haven't revealed it orally, so they're waiting for the punchline. What is the F word? And so that pause plus the mystery of this, beautiful, creates intrigue, mystery. I feel like I'm like a chef here, like just creating a recipe. And then I always leave my name at the end. I swear to God, I've done hundreds of keynotes, and every time I leave a keynote, they're like, who was that guy? They're like, I have no idea who it was. I want them to know my name, right? I want them to know, I don't know what he said, but it was good. And I'm hoping that at least this last piece is something like, okay, that's Shawn Kanungo. We need to get that guy.